I feel like there was no other way to open this podcast because it's about to get so Brooklyn in here. See what I did there?
I loved it.
Ooh. All right, so I got my brother here, and I got Maria Laterza.
Ciao. Hi, everybody.
So
Kearney girls in the
Let's
building.
go.
hell
Let's
yeah,
go.
hell yeah. So anyone who really knows me knows that I rep Kearney to the death, and I couldn't be more upset about the
Rest in
closing.
peace.
Ooh,
Don't even say that. I don't even want to hear it.
that's
I mean,
tough.
this was the last year, right? It was the last
Yeah,
graduating
it's done. I think
class.
the school's
Tough.
actually closed, but
Yeah, it's definitely close.
It's sad to see like all these Catholic organizations, schools.
we were literally
churches.
just talking about this.
Because even in this like little district here, all the churches are combining,
Right.
and you see it more and more now with like all these churches and.
Cost is just too much. Like even in Brooklyn, everything is so much. Like you can't even. Price is what 10 G's just to go to high
Not
school.
only that, it's
like,
also
what?
a lot with the corruption too, of like priests and all
Also,
the scandals and stuff. Like a lot of people are turned off by what's going on.
People won't go to church anymore. Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad to say, but it's definitely true. But you know, a lot of these churches own property, so
You can't say they don't have money,
yeah, you can't say they don't
I'd
have
say,
money. It's like,
say,
but people don't go to church anymore.
yeah.
that's what it is too.
But
I think it's just the youth spectrum in general. Like everything is so
we're good.
everything is so digital, and we're always in our phones. So
Yep.
even in like our Italian culture,
I don't need
like,
to go to church because I
Yeah.
see it on Twitter.
Right.
You know.
There's
Or
probably
online,
a live
right.
stream you could watch.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, people do live stream church though. Like she
it used
just
to be
said
more. I
on
feel like as a family thing too, and that it's so correlates to even just like our Italian culture of the things that are like sort of like low key fading out. And church is kind of I feel like one of the big ones. Like now you go on Christmas. Like if we can't make it to church on Christmas or Easter, then you're the worst.
Sometimes I'll forget too. Usually I go
Good
midnight
Friday,
mass.
you don't make it. Those are three. I got 3 days. If I don't make it to church on these 3 days or Palm Sunday,
Palm Sunday's a
It's
big
true. Christmas is like really the only one that I make it out to.
one. Midnight mass. Yeah, that's a big
Midnight
one
mass.
for us.
Yeah.
I showed up to midnight mass. Monsignor Casada, bless his heart. If
Oh,
you,
you're
if
Monsignor
you're,
too?
I know, Monsignor, if you're
Yo,
listening to this, I'm sorry. I only
the
showed up to
man.
midnight mass and I didn't show up yet, but I'm gonna go again. But I think I walked in. He was a little shocked to see me and my father,
Monsignor's a legend.
right? And his first words were, "It was great to see everyone here today. Please come to church all the time."
Yeah,
I was
no.
like,
See, like
"You're right."
I like the way Monsignor does it because he makes you want to like hang around him. 'Cause
Yeah,
he's
he's
such
great.
a likable guy.
Fantastic.
Some priests do it the wrong way. Like I've been to masses and the priest will just be like going on a rant of like, you know, and he just like makes you feel like, oh wow, this is why I don't come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he knows how to get your
Monsignor,
attention.
Like, knows how to.
Yeah.
Like he just baptized my kids like 3 months ago.
Congratulations.
And how good was that mass?
Everybody
Thank you,
was.
by the way. Yeah. But
Everyone was
Yeah.
it
watching.
was like
He's
he
great.
put on a show.
Yeah, he's
you
great.
know? He's that guy that pulls in with the helicopter. And
Literally.
He's a
yeah.
superstar.
All the NYPD. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
fantastic.
a
So what he
superstar.
does
Drinking
for-
Blue Label on the rocks at the
Yes.
bar.
Yeah,
what
he
he's
likes
done, I
scotch.
think, for the community. I grew up in St. Athanasius. That was my parish. So, and I was there. I think when he came, I was just about to receive my confirmation. So we had other monsignors before that. And for years, we had the bazaar stop. There were so many community initiatives that weren't open, and then that he just brought back.
I feel like he turned things around in
Yeah.
Bensonhurst.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Monsignor.
Monsignor,
Nah, he's
shout
the
out to
man.
you.
He's a man.
I'm gonna see you on church
So-
on Sunday.
Let's hear a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. Where do we start? Where do
So,
I really
basketball.
even start?
You got to shout out Kearney, though. That's
right,
all I'm
so
asking. Shout out
basketball. Man, this is a long story too, so I'm like, I don't want to like overdo it, but in the basics, right? So, grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. Parents both immigrants from Bari, Puglia, right?
Oh wow! So you're first generation.
First generation.
You're like us then.
Yeah. Mom and dad had to work.
What do you do for a living?
My dad was a bus driver, and my mom was a para in a school with special
Okay.
ed.
Awesome.
Shout out to the folks.
Okay.
So I was raised a lot. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, my nonna. So super close with her. And then when I was about 8 years old, my
So
mom.
your nonna raised you.
Yeah, it's all yeah.
Every
you
day.
know,
Literally
it was
same
a-
with us.
a
Same with
group-
us.
Yeah, like a group effort for sure.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time with her when my parents were, working till like 5.
Did you have a lot of first cousins? too?
Yeah, I'm an only child though, so just me. But I have a lot of cousins, but they were older than me, so I was always kind of like outside playing. Got into playing basketball because I was always tall. So on the the podcast, you don't know this. I'm standing at about 6'2". So if you ever see me in Bensonhurst walking down the street, it's me because I'm the only one. If you see big hair and 6'2", it's me. Come say hi.
When I saw you, I was like, I should have worn my Timbs
I told
because
her
I was
when
wearing
when
slides
in the-
right now.
When we were in the panini shop, everybody was just looking at us because there's me and then there's her.
Yeah.
And she would talk, I would just look up
You're
at
like,
her.
yeah, crushing the prosciutto mozzarella. So good.
And Esate, shout out to them right here.
Shout out to it. But yeah, so I started playing basketball at St. Ignatius when I was 8 years old because I was tall. My uncle said put her in something. I have an older cousin, Alana, that played basketball, was a 3-sport athlete. So I kind of always looked up to her.
Like basketball, soccer.
Basketball, soccer, and lacrosse.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And she was a phenomenal athlete, great student. So sports, I kind of always wanted to be. I had my cousins as great mentors, even though I'm an only child.
Same here. I mean, I have my sister, but we have like 25 first cousins.
Yeah.
So I
Always
feel the
together.
vibe, you
Yeah.
know?
So I'm still the bit. Yeah, you know the
Yeah.
vibes.
I You know feel the
You know the
vibes.
vibes. So I did CYO at St. Ignatius, and I push that I'm Brooklyn bred, and everything about me is really so Brooklyn, because it's really what I think.
I mean, that's your username.
It is.
It's in your username.
Yo, I love
in
that.
college.
Though. I love
In
that.
college, they don't even my name. They didn't even know my name. It was just Brooklyn, the girl from Brooklyn, and as I've gotten older, it's just something that I always keep with me.
I think that's
because
important.
I think it's made me, as we progress, I think growing in inner cities in general, it gives you a different flair and just a different kind of outlook on life.
Brooklyn is the most like known place in the world.
Yeah, facts.
Most repped every day.
Yep.
But yo, us people like the Brooklyn Knights, we got our own flavor.
You know what?
man.
I'm from like South Brooklyn, right? And like this is really a mecca. And right now, this neighborhood is booming, right? But it's so crazy because I feel like, how do you guys feel when like 10 years ago everyone's like, oh, you're from Brooklyn? Because I got that all the time. People are like, oh, you're from Brooklyn. I went to school to Marist, where it was like all
The
tri-state
middle of
area.
what, Poughkeepsie, right?
Poughkeepsie,
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
saw
people
that,
from
yeah.
like, nice places in Long Island, Jersey,
Yeah.
whatever. And so like coming to Brooklyn was like, oh, the girl from Brooklyn. Like I was really thug out there.
Yeah.
Like in their minds of what people perceive Brooklyn to be. And now it's funny because like everybody this is the spot, and this where you guys
Yeah,
are,
so-
Williamsburg.
I tell him all the
I'm
time.
gonna get into this real quick. So CYO is like two separate. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 separate for New York City, but our CYO is actually the Queens.
Yeah, we
division.
don't
Yes,
play anybody.
that's
in
right.
You guys
Brooklyn.
were at Staten Island, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you probably never played St. Cecilia's, right?
Never.
Nah.
Because completely
We
different.
played-
Never.
Unless it's like state championship games or
We
stuff
played
like
like
that.
Corpus Christi,
Yeah,
Hope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
See,
we were
We were
Queens.
all in Queens
Yeah.
teams, playing teams in Long Island City, Astoria, Woodside, like all Queens.
Yeah.
But it's almost like South Brooklyn and North Brooklyn are
Yeah.
opposite ends of
Yeah.
the world. Because
And for those who don't know, CYO, Catholic Youth Organization.
yeah, a lot of
For
people
those who
won't know that.
BCBA. I was actually BCBA. CYO was like the men's side. BCBA
really?
was Brooklyn Catholic Basketball Association.
I didn't even know that.
But
'cause
we
the
girls-
did
were
we fell
CYO.
under we were
Yeah.
CYO.
But it was awesome because like we both were in the CYO like world, and she was actually really good at basketball. She was a point guard.
I believe it.
She was really good for a couple.
I
years.
just keep looking at you and I'm
For
like,
a couple
no,
years.
I know you though.
I played in Kearney.
Even in Kearney, but like I went back
Yeah.
a lot of those years and I was always
I
like,
was
around,
there.
So
So a little bit CYO. Did you guys win any state? Like were you always the
no,
best
we
player
were
on the team?
always the best player, always the tallest. I think I started getting good at basketball. I started coming into it at about 11, 12. And I started having a lot more outside opportunities like the AAU travel circuit. But my parents, you know,
That's where you really
my dad,
developed, though, right?
Right.
AAU?
No, I think like Kearney I really developed.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kathy Crockett and Carrie O'Grady, 2 great coaches. But I mean, I was coming into it. I feel like, I'm coming into my height. I'm coming into like everything. So I was just tall, playing with my friends on Sundays, not taking it
Yeah.
serious. And it wasn't until I started doing the AU, but it was travel, right? And I have like these super strict Italian parents, and they don't have friends with other kids that are doing what I'm doing, especially in Bensonhurst. And I think
Yeah.
part of the struggles
Because
to
all
me,
your other time friends were really short.
right? Yes, exactly.
Literally.
Playing
Hit it on the head.
soccer.
Exactly. No, exactly. And I think part of the struggle to this day, and I always say this, like I think I've had great opportunities because of everything that has happened and how it's been, but I feel like I don't have like mentors or people who have been in my situation so
Do the
unique,
same thing, yeah.
you know. So I always say I don't mind. My motivation is like I don't mind being the first to like trailblaze this path. I just don't want to be the last.
No, you're definitely not.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really, you really hit it home.
Yeah, I like
really
that.
So how did How was it in how was your basketball career in Kearney?
Kearney was great. So
You were. I remember when I was in Kearney, you were royalty.
yeah, and
Legend.
it's
Especially,
so crazy.
especially. I mean, even
'Cause
outside
at that point, she was
of the
playing-
basketball,
she was
you were
already playing
in-
overseas,
You were
right?
playing. No, because I was there from 08 to 12.
Yeah,
So were
So
you?
she
you
just
were playing
graduated.
in-
I just graduated.
You just graduated.
She
So you
just
were-
graduated.
You were playing
07.
overseas at that
Just
point.
I was at Marist. I went
You
to
were
we
at
just were
Marist.
Sweet 16, always
Oh, you guys
NCAA,
went to Sweet 16
4 MAC
too?
championships in college. To my freshman and senior year, we went undefeated in the MAC
Yeah,
conference.
well, you were there. Mara's dog.
Sweet 16, kind of. We were like the female Cinderella. My senior year, we were 17th in the nation.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
But the silo to all of this is that I didn't play at all in college, and I had my college basketball career. It's crazy. Like my story is crazy in the fact that I went there and it was a great school. Loved the campus. Loved my teammates. Basketball wise, I averaged only 3-4 minutes a game. Because of just poor recruitment. And I love the school, and I never transferred because I was very happy there. So I always want to like force this. There are a lot of articles that'll, to tell my story. I think it's important to say that I love Marist. I would have left if I wasn't happy there, but I didn't play. So this whole underdog story of sort of how my life has been, even going to Italy, was something that if you ask anybody that knew me outside of here, the people that were from home, from Brooklyn, knew that I was like that player, that I had this the whole time, that I should have been in the WNBA, like all these things.
So how did that happen? Like,
So Kearney was great, crushing in Kearney, but it was just different. And I think the struggle is that Kearney is such a great basketball community, but a lot of those people from Rockaway, so like, are in the know. I didn't know anything about basketball. I was like going to my BCBA games after having my like ragu on Sunday at 3 p.m. I had a game, or like we had a game at 12 and then we had to go. So even for my
Mari,
family,
mangia paz.
maybe I'll have
mangia.
like 2 bowls and I'm rushing to the game, right?
Playing with a full plate
My
of
mom,
pasta.
my mom, my nonna making like ragu at 9 a.m. and we like, I gotta go, we got a game. But that was CYO days, right? So you could be 5 minutes late, and
Yeah.
getting into Kearney, even for my family, and I commend them so much because I was a kid, so I didn't know, and like my parents really had to, for them, really
It's
stay
real
away
adapt, yeah.
from the traditional stuff and say like, this is uncomfortable for us, but
I'm
they
sure
have-
even like always practicing in games like Mastakas, what basketball?
right.
you
Yeah,
know?
for
It's-
sure.
True.
It's Sunday.
For
you know?
sure, 100%. I'll never forget this. My first practice on Kearney. So part of why I think they say it was like a big deal. I was a freshman on varsity, and I
Yeah.
played a lot.
Oh wow.
So I got a lot of playing time as a freshman, and I got to develop. And that even in high school was like a big like freshmen don't make varsity. You guys know that.
No, it doesn't happen.
And I played a lot, and then I got
Very
to
rare.
develop.
Only
Very
the
rare.
great ones.
Yeah.
Only the
Yeah.
great ones.
But I think when I was in high school, because of not having influence or not having other tall women or like women in sports, and even in our culture, because to a degree for the Italian American women, like where once we get older, we're like, oh, you're in the kitchen. It's not in the kitchen, but like this is stuff that I love being in the kitchen. So there's nothing wrong with that. I love it, but
But it's very different.
you don't see
The
a lot
perfect
of it.
example is like the women's World Cup team this year, soccer
Huge.
team that
Right.
Yeah.
was killing it. You
Right.
know? And a lot of people were like teasing them, like Italian women don't play
Right.
soccer.
I
They-
didn't.
you know?
I wanted to play. So I was always a tomboy growing up, and I wanted to play soccer so bad. And my cousin Alana played soccer, and it was like a cool thing. My dad, like for our Mola club, we have like the Mola soccer team. Shout out to Mola Soccer. But I always wanted to play. Even when I was very little, my father would always shot me away and be, Papa, why can't I play? I could be a great goalie. I'm long. And he'd be like, no, because for him, he was like, no, it makes your legs really like athletic and whatever. So that was his thing. He just didn't want me to be like this masculine entity. And then basketball happened, and I think I always commend them, because even for him as a man and as someone who grew up in traditional values, he really let me run with that. And I don't think like that my mom, they were just like, you know what, this is happening for her, and this is weird. Freshman on varsity, my first practice to Kearney, I was a half hour late. My mom, I don't drive, right? And we live like 5 blocks away. It was like a half hour late. I'll never forget it. And I got in, and Kathy was like, yo, well, you're a little late. Well, I was 15 minutes late. For my mom, it's like, whatever, we're used to BCBA and like St. A's. You're a little late. It's okay. I had things to do. My mom was taking care of my grandmother at the time. We had stuff going on.
Family things, yeah.
And I didn't get in trouble, even though Kathy made me run. So I had to do all these. And I'm lazy. So now I'm going from just like
The
Lozzie
suicide,
dots
man.
walking into practice with like a brojol in my hand from BCBA at St. A's. And then I'm doing suicides. I'm doing stairs. So that culture of working hard and real athletic ethic, I learned in Kearney through them. But I don't think I applied it because I didn't have much of a challenge. And I think that I praise my coaches and the people
Yeah,
that
they
were
brought the
around
best
me
out of you.
because
Yeah.
they really did, and they were very patient. And I think the best thing is I was always coachable. I just always feel like I could have worked harder. However, I didn't know.
But you're young. You don't see
Right.
that, you know.
And then at that time, now mind you, that time I'm like the 6'2" tall girl in Bensonhurst. All my friends are like, it's 3 o'clock. We gotta go outside. The Siberian boys are coming. And
Yeah.
like, I'm in the gym, and I'm like, I
Especially
wanna
with
go out.
the basketball players, they're all from Breezy Rockaway.
right. And that culture, it was like you have Chris Mullen.
We gotta. What do you mean
Chris
you have
Mullins
a game?
from Breezy?
From like he's from Marine Park.
Yeah.
But like
Oh,
you know,
really?
out
But you
there.
know, these girls, they're like, all my friends are like, what do you mean you have practice? We have a kegger this weekend.
Yeah.
You know.
But even them for basketball culture, like they get it. Like so for them, like you know, they had that like clickiness. But I never really. I had me and then Diana Canzaneri. Shout out to D Cans. The only two girls really from Bensonhurst that were hooping. And she was who would like get it, just like our culture. I'd be like, "Yo, Kanzi, what are we doing tonight?" And then, like you know, like and everyone would be like, "What are they talking about?" But to have that, you know, it's just someone to relate to. I felt like I didn't have that at Kearney, but basketball wise, it was great. And then as I grew into my role, I was playing against girls from Christ the King like Tina Charles and playing against Tina.
I mean,
who was,
King is a powerhouse.
Yeah, King is a
so we
power.
were
They're
always
surpri-
like second place to them.
They're who sponsors them? LeBron.
LeBron.
They
yeah,
have the
Tom
best
LeBron.
athletes in
Yeah.
Brooklyn and Queens, at least
Forever,
from here.
for the last 25
If you're a
years.
hooper in this part of Brooklyn, you go to King.
Yep.
King or
Shamika-
Malloy.
Shamika
She's
Holmes-
a year too?
She's a year older than me. And
Yeah,
I've been
so-
playing against
okay,
Tina
cheers.
since CYO, since like Most Precious Blood.
'cause she's
Yeah,
actually-
Most Precious Blood.
She's actually friends with my
Crazy.
friend Mike Colombo,
Yeah?
which is so random because
She's a
he's like a
phenomenal
little
human.
Italian boy, like
And she's-
like me, and then
yeah.
she's
Tina, from when I remember always playing against her, and like this is how I always would kind of match kind of how I didn't know I was good, but I knew that she was great. And we would have a lot of games. I remember like my senior year, we played against her, and I would get hyped up for that. Her, Kia Vaughn, who's I think also local, they went to St. Michael's.
Yeah.
She sounds really
familiar.
familiar. Yeah.
They're in the WNBA right now. But I
Crazy.
would always we would play against them, and like I would have like 18 and 15. I would foul out. They would have like 44 points. It's fine, but like just even knowing that I playing against them is what I think definitely got me recruited and got me like known. And then it's a culture thing too. I thank basketball so much for this, the diversity and just being around people of different ethnicities. Being like I was the white girl with the black girls all the time, and hooping, and that made me tough, and that made me like play physical. So like my whole entire game is so that like rawness of New York City.
Sometimes you got to be a beauty and
that
a beast,
gritty,
you know?
Right. Let's go.
Hell yeah. You know the vibes.
this is instantly the Kearney girl connection
You
here.
know, listen, at the end we can do a little hail to the art school if you want. Just
Yo,
to close it.
I really do think we need to close it out with
We
that.
can.
I'm so
I have
hyped
no
you
idea what
said
you guys
it.
are
I'm
talking
not
about
even
right now.
Children-
Yo, I'm
women-
gonna have to get a conference call of all my friends in
women
on
who
this.
shape the future.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so you know,
So then
Kearney
you
was
saw,
great.
how did like
So-
Lithuania come about then? Like
Oh, that
playing-
was after. So like college, but college was crazy. So Kearney, all that stuff in Kearney goes good.
But you go from being
Stud.
the
The
only
the star to
to
like not
playing
getting
with
outside,
instead of
yeah.
being the tall girl, you're
Right.
like the short girl.
Was that
five.
what position were you playing in
So
college?
it's center.
Oh, you were playing
And
center?
when I went to Europe, I was transitioning more to like a swing man because I lost
Yeah.
a lot of weight. But I went to college and I went through a hard time. My grandmother passed away my sophomore year, and I had had about 8 different scholarship offers.
Wow.
I could have went Big East. I could have did a lot of things, and I just didn't know better. We didn't know better. My parents didn't know
No.
college. I can show you photos of like, even when I moved back home and I was like cleaning throughout stuff, like letters to this whole desk. And if you're listening to this, I have like a 7 feet long desk in front of me, like letters of colleges, like Big East schools that were probably better for my physique and for how I move. But the best thing that I can say is I went to Marist and he played a different offense that was not suitable to my position. And I had to spend 4 years getting suited to that. And what would kind of happen is maybe 1 year I wasn't coming in, I couldn't shoot the 3, so I didn't play. He didn't trust me enough to not play because I wasn't shooting 3.
You wanted you play like a stretch 4 kind of thing?
Yeah,
or-
shooting outside,
Yeah.
very outside oriented. So then I would spend the whole summer coming back working on my 3s. And I was so obsessive, right, that I was staying up at Marist. And it's nice. It's nice to stay up there, right? And I spent so much time obsessing about playing and starting. At the time, now my grandmother's getting sick, and this is like my girl. So like Nona is, we're
Yeah.
bonded, right?
Mhm.
And then the next year I don't play, and it's because I can't go one-on-one. So then I'm, okay, let's go make it better. So then I do these things, and I realize that I could do it. And I'm coming home, and people are like, now this is where the shift is. So it's interesting because now all these people that were really hyping me up when I was reaching out for help, like, hey, something's wrong here. Like, I think I'm not playing, and I think that the first year I thought, okay, it's just me, and I'm this freshman, and boom. But the second year I noticed that it was different, and I'm like, okay, well now I'm like the rule, not the exception. So and that was hard as like an 18-year-old kid to go through this, and I'm close to home, but like no one really gets it. And
You're not that close to home.
I mean,
though, you know?
for a
Right.
Brooklyn
No,
Italian girl, Poughkeepsie's far.
yeah,
You know?
right.
It's 2 hours away.
And
you know?
and like my parents, because they're not like they weren't super in the know of sports, like I would tell them that I was unhappy basketball wise, and I think this is crazy, but they would get different progress reports, and people would be like, well, if she transfers, she has to go to D2, and in my head I'm like, what do you mean D2? Like I had like 13 D1 scholarship offers.
Yeah.
Like at one point I had like letters from UConn and like
Yeah.
all these places that I'm just like, I was just crushing against Tina Charles, and she's crushing
Yeah.
it now, like all these things that. So I had it for about a 4-year plateau. Then my grandmother passed away my sophomore year when I was finally starting at a road trip, and I got trapped. I couldn't leave, and she passed away, and everything after that, I think, got dark in the sense that everybody who was, Maria, this Kearney girl who's like crushing it, kind of dispersed. And I really hit like this plateau, but we were winning, so it was cool. Great college, all that stuff. Turn around, go to Italy one summer, and I'm playing on these courts. And I wanted
Where, in Body?
So I go back to Body. When I come back that year, my grandma passes away in October of 2009, right? 2009, she passes away. That summer, I can't bear to come home because I hadn't been coming home. I had this guilt trip of like, I can't come home now. I miss all this time with her. And I say, send me to Italy. I had my father's parents are still in Body at this time. My grandmother, actually, my father, who I'm named after. So I'm like, I just want to go see Nonna Maria. Let's go out there, have cousins, whatever. And one day, they're like, yo, come play pickup. So I end up at this court, not too far away from Mola di Bari, so where my Nonna Nina's from. My mom's
That's a
side.
big city there.
Big
That's
city
a
by
big-
the port. Beautiful,
yeah.
big by the port. Water. Right now, it's like super lit. Everyone's going to Puglia. It's like
Yeah.
the number one destination.
No,
It's
Puya's
super cool.
huge right now.
Yep. End up playing basketball. I end up getting seen by a manager of the number one EuroLeague team there in Taranto, which is Brindisi, right? And now, from this moment on, the rest of my career and how my life has panned out is
Because of that moment?
this moment, and just maybe makes me think of this was how it was supposed to be. This is why I'm supposed to do this. Was why I
That's
have
crazy
this
because
purpose.
you come from one of the biggest cities in the world, and then you get seen in Mola de
There.
Body playing
You
basketball.
were.
And I had
That's
to,
that's your
because- and it's
grandma
crazy.
saying you were meant to be there.
Right, and because this city, I was already written off. Like I already graduated college. I wasn't like we were mid-major, okay, but like if you don't get 1,000 points in college, regarders, like
Yeah, it's a little difficult.
basketball-wise
Yeah.
now, off, I was super popular. I was the girl from Brooklyn, cool, Allegra, like always talking to people. And and I'll never forget this when I graduated. People would always say, Maria, what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna work in the city? And I was an advertising major, and I do it like an art and stuff. So they were like, what are you gonna do? And you're gonna get a job in the city, like people love you. You're gonna work corporate, and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna go to Italy and I'm gonna play in the national team. And people would be like, what the fuck out of here? People would be like, what? Like, and I
Wait, you knew you were going to do that? Or
I just
you?
knew after this moment when I was in Italy that summer. So this is like on my junior year. I had a pickup game. Someone was just like, yo, we'll sign you right now to come play in Italy. And I kind of like had no confidence at this point. And I'm like, me, I'm not that good. And they're like, we'll sign you right now just like this if you're not good. So I'm like, yo, I can do this. Wait, I'm Italian. I have this passport. It started to.
You had your citizenship there?
I've been a citizen since I'm 4.
Good for you.
Just had to get my passport, so that took a
That's
bit.
what we're trying to do right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it takes a bit.
Yeah.
The consulate
Yeah.
is a little
Slack.
They move a little
Well,
slow.
for all of August, by the way. Don't ever make an appointment for August. You won't get in there.
Maybe
That's
next
when
year.
everybody's in there.
So let's talk about that journey. You just start playing in Serie A, or?
Yes, no. So I have to now because I didn't play in college. And I'm gonna podcast peeps. Hold on to your seats because this is why I promote God and the universe. So I have to go to Austria. And I only
For
go
a
to
year?
For a year, and that was rough. So I went from living now. By the way, my experience in Marist was phenomenal. I love my teammates. I love everything about it. The only thing that was bad is just my playing time, which is why I never transferred because everything else was great. Great school, teachers, everything. I went from living in a basketball house with all my teammates to living like Austria, like the hills are alive, sound of music. There's more animal than people.
It's wild out there.
It's snowy all the time, and I live in an attic, and like I'm writing in my journal like I'm Anne Frank, like lots, and that might have been a little. If anyone's offended,
I don't even know if
apologize.
that's funny.
I don't know. No, well, maybe not. I don't know, but that's just what it felt like. I don't know.
Just funny because the
Sorry.
way she
I'm
said
sorry
it.
if anybody feels. I truly
No.
apologize if that offended anybody.
Mostly
Sensitive.
Italians listen to this, so you're
Good.
good.
All right, so I think we'll be all right. So I'm in Austria, and I had to go, and I got to Austria because I had my Italian passport. We ended up having this American coach, and this American coach, which is a shitty league. And I'm not sorry I'm even saying this. The league wasn't good. I just had to go pound my stats, show people that I could get some work in here. My coach ended up having an Austrian wife, so he was an American guy from Chicago. So I spent 8 months just really skill developing, getting comfortable again, getting in shape. Coincidentally, he ends up working, getting a call to coach the Austrian women's national team. Now, the summer before I graduated, I had kept my connections that I made that my junior year, and I actually flew myself to Italy to workouts on 2 teams, for Taranto and for Venezia. When I was in Taranto, I worked down in front of this guy called Roberto. He was like the head coach, but I didn't have my actual physical passport yet, so they couldn't sign me. And so
because they're only allowed to sign a certain amount of
right. So
Americans.
you can have two Americans and 1 European passport.
Those same thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The same thing as a men's league.
Right. So same thing. Fast forward, so it doesn't work out with Roberto. I go up to Venice. They tell me the same thing. I meet this guy Franz, and Franz is like, "Listen, he's the GM, but like it doesn't work out. Like I don't have my I need this." And the consulate is being a little slow. Consulate's taking their time. So now it's the middle of July.
They get paid by the day, not
right.
per
So this
client,
is like before I go to Austria. So now it's like the middle of July, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go overseas. I'm not getting a job. And this is so funny. So my cousin John Paul marries Jess. Jess has a cousin in Italy who just so happens to be a video guy for 2 Points, and 2 Points at the time is like this #1 agency in Italy. And someone's like, "Yo, I got a cousin. Here's a tape of her. This is a favor." Boom, boom, boom. And I signed with 2 Points because I couldn't get any agent in America to represent me. They were like, "She's not that good." I signed with 2 Points with Lorenzo Gallotti, who was my agent the whole time. And I went from being this kind of like favor Lorenzo did, and every year he put me in a position that was a good position to improve myself, and I ended up finishing as probably one of his more higher profile clients on the women's side.
It just goes to show you need to know people sometimes.
Or
to
have
get
a lot of
stuff done.
cousins. Or have a lot of Italian cousins.
That's luck of the draw
Yo,
right
I
there.
love it. I love
Have a lot of
it.
Italian
So
cousins.
then you
So
start.
go to Austria. So Austria sucks, right? Austria, I'm crushing it. And then Austria's not a good time. I'm crying home every day.
How's the food out there?
Not good.
A lot of potatoes.
Oh, I'm
My
thinking,
mom was still,
dude,
they
what
were
did
sending
you
me food
eat?
packages from home. I was eating like was a stove top and like Betty Crocker.
Oh
I
man.
was thinking chicken cutlets and ragu
Send me a
every
super
day.
sad, please.
My dad came to visit from Italy. I asked him to bring me 2 pounds of grated cheese. I'm not kidding.
You weren't getting grated cheese over there, huh?
Yeah,
No, the food's
it
probably
was really hard.
trash out there.
I had to, so you know how bad it is. I had to so they gave me a bike, and I'll never ride a bike again for this. And the grocery store was about a mile away through hills, and I didn't have a car because I still don't have a license. Who has the time, right?
Public
And
transportation.
I had to bike to the grocery store, but it was a hike, so I had this big backpack, and I would literally have 10 kilos or like pounds of stuff in my back, and I'd be hiking. Rain, sleet, snow, I'm pedaling. So now I don't ride bikes anymore.
Scarred you for life.
My butt still hurts. But it's towards the end of my season, and my coach Mike from the Austrian team gets nominated to be the Austrian coach, and he has to go to this thing. FIBA is like the general like basketball consensus of Europe. He has to go to a head coaches meeting for national team coaches.
And he met the Italian
And
coach.
he ended up meeting this guy who's the new women's national team coach, and his name is Roberto, and he is the guy who I worked out for when I was in Taranto.
Wow.
Crazy.
And they're sitting down, and
That's
he's like,
destiny if I've ever heard
It
of
Right.
was fucking meant to
the
be,
only
man.
guy I see, right? And so Mike has been like, "Hey, I have this Italian girl with me. Her name is Maria Laterza." And Roberto's probably like, "Wait, I just saw her. How's she doing? We have training camp. Let's invite her." And that was my foot in the door. I go to training camp. It's like March. He comes back. He's like, "Maria, Roberto's calling you." I'm like, "Who?" "Roberto." Call him. National team go, "Hey, Maria, we want to see you. Come." Boom, boom, boom. And that season, I go to my first training camp with national team. I finish my Austrian season, and I spend the summer 2 months for my first Raduno, we call it. So when we go to train for
National
European
team.
Championship, got the first jersey, and I promise you, I think for my whole life, there will never be a better experience as an Italian American and someone like us that we grew up here, and we fully know like the sacrifices our family made to leave Southern Italy. They didn't want to. So, and if anyone that's listening has been there, like you don't want to leave Southern Italy. It's fun, but they had
You
to,
have to.
for us.
Yeah.
It's either like live struggling every day
Right.
or leave and
There's no
make a better-
opportunity
No.
out there. All those kids from our parts, everyone's in Germany, Bologna,
Yeah.
Milan.
Milan.
Right.
Nobody's in Southern Italy
Switzerland.
anymore.
100%.
Milan, Switzerland.
100%. So,
Was there any other Americans on the Italian national?
So the rule on now, and this is also where it kind of gets tricky. On the rule, you can only have one dual passport player.
Oh, wow.
So there were a couple other Americans that were coming in, and I was really fortunate that
a lot
I
of soccer teams should get that. 'cause
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
It's
Yeah,
crazy how,
that's
how
true.
it is, you know?
It's different. Yeah.
One is crazy.
I like. Well, I
Imagine
think-
just one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But
Just one.
I can't imagine how satisfying it was to have your last name on that jersey.
I
There's
cried
probably-
thinking about it, and now there's still moments too. And we have all our clubs here, and I have the Mola Club, and then the Society of Beth Giacomo, which is my hometown, and then whenever we have our dinner dances and stuff, or whenever I still to this day.
To this day.
That's my meme. The next the growing up time meme is gonna be to this day.
We need a new
Maria.
one.
A new one is me. We're
Yo,
to this
we're
day.
gonna put your face
to
on
this day
him.
with together.
To
Yeah,
this
to this day.
Do you still play basketball?
I do. And to
I
this
set you up
day-
for it.
To this day, I the best thing whenever I hear I'm in the clubs and I still hear the Italian national anthem, I get super emotional because it's like an instant like flashback that I'm somewhere on a court. I got the jersey. I have to know all the words. We have to sing all the words, and I'm so
Yep.
proud to. It's like
Yeah.
it gives me.
That's the way
It's
should
the best.
be.
It's the best anthem. It's like so. Even when you see the national team, Fratelli.
They gotta play that next time we're at Berry Park.
Right? I will.
I'll get on the.
We'll request it at Berry Park. Yeah, so it was a crazy experience, and then I just every year from that, then thanks to Lorenzo, 2 points, and just me like really working hard. I always got a call back, so I was at every training camp that they had. I made 39 appearances. Italian's my first language too, so it was very
really?
very comfortable there. Didn't have to speak English anymore. I graduated. Then I played. So when I went to Italy, I played in. My first season was in La Spezia in A2, so second league, because I wasn't good enough for A1 yet. Still had to prove things. Won a championship there. Go to Baroni. Didn't win a championship there, but still we had a really good season. And then my third year, I get the phone call to go up to play in Milan, and that kind of was really life-changing.
Wow.
That's
where-
major.
That's where I pitched my 10. Now, Milan had an A2 team, and at this point in my career, I was really frustrated because I'm like, yo, I'm ready for A1. Like, let's go. I need to be in WNBA right now. Like, what are we doing?
You're still chasing that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I was still chasing that. I had the plan, like, just do your numbers and the same thing. Like, make this a thing. You got to Italy, right? This was a thing. Let's make that a thing.
Yeah.
We got a lot of things going on.
Do a lot of like in the WNBA? Do a lot of women come from the EuroLeague? Like,
Yeah,
is it-
so I
is
mean,
it
it's because the seasons are so different. So in WNBA, you play primarily in the summer, so that you can go get that
Exactly,
bag
that's
true.
overseas during the winter.
Oh, so they play both.
Yeah, and there's no
Yeah.
break. But
It's
it's
crazy.
interesting how it goes with money caps because women get paid obviously in like everything a lot lower than men. So I have my guy friends that are signing for EuroLeague and
30,000
Giorgio Armani has
euros,
has
yeah.
a team in Milan. It's called Armani. That's the name,
Yeah.
right? And my guys from New York, Seton Hall kids, or like just people that I know
100,000
that grew up
euros a year.
100,000 euros, 100,000 euros like a month. They're getting like
Oh,
8
that's-
mil. They're getting 8.
That's
like,
good.
That's
2 mil
crazy.
for like 8 months. And
That's good.
and a standard women's paycheck overseas, if you're getting 3 G's a month, you are bank.
Golden.
That gets
But,
me
but they're
so
paying
tight.
for a lot of things too, right?
Every-
Like
yeah, you get
stay-
your every room, board, all that. The only
Yeah.
thing you're paying really for is
But
like
really,
food.
3,000 is not a lot. It
Right.
breaks down to 750.
Right. And if
euros
if
a
you don't
week.
know your contract and you have someone do like, and that's a lot. That's like for a senior player and a WNBA player. So if I had this plan, if I go to WNBA, so long as I make a training camp, I'm automatically going to make $1,000 more because I have this stamp. So that was more the MO. Plus, I also wanted to give like the big FU to everybody who kind of like left me. Because the interesting part was then everyone in those 4 years that was like, oh, she didn't pop, she wasn't rookie of the year, overrated, all the stuff that comes with it. As soon as I went overseas, right, national team happened, got to Italy, lost like 30 pounds. I think I went in at like 218, came back one summer at 185, had a boyfriend, we broke up, the relationship diet is real, but it's great. So came back like looking
It
like
goes
a
either
Hulk.
way. You either gain 30 or lose
I
30.
was this sad, right? I thought I was getting, and then even then I had the Italian dream, right? So I was coming home, I thought was going to get engaged, all these things. Go back overseas, didn't work out. And I come back home, and now I'm like super just like model from Milan and like have this access to everything. And I almost didn't even go to this team. Like Milan, I was like, it's not A1. And I was like, you know what? I won a championship already. Let's go win another one. And like, and I'll get into A1. If A1 doesn't want to open a door, like I'll make another one open. And it was that year that I kind of really, I had to tell myself in my mind, I had to be like, okay, I can't live this split life of like in Italy, always Skyping home, all these things. I had to like.
You
I
gotta
need to
focus on it.
transition.
Yeah.
And that's when I left that year. I'll never forget it. I'm like, okay, I'm Maria, and I live in Milan. I'm Maria, I live in Italy. Now Maria always wanted to come home, and I didn't come home for Christmas that year. I did national team straight through. I had the most successful season of my life. We won the championship. I was center of the year, Coppa Italia, which was huge. And I was playing for Jazz Basket. Jazz is a super, super old school team from they won the European Championship for women in the 80s, the 70s. Just a lot of history, and they were trying to come back. Right now in the WNBA, you have Cecilia Zandalesini, who's one of the only Italian players in the league right now. She kind of came through this club.
Wow.
They do great for youth development, and I was so fortunate. I had an amazing coach there in Italy, one of the only female coaches, Cinzia Zanotti, who was not only a coach, but really a mom and a friend. And I think it's so important that I had some bad coaching experiences personally, but then I got to the professional level. I had Cinzia and I had Marco Rota, who was a great assistant coach as well, who really just knew how to coach me. And and then living in Milan, I went from living in Pavia and the wine vineyards. Mm-hmm. I lived by a church one year where every time I was on FaceTime, every 30 minutes the clock tower would go off.
Bing,
Ding.
bing, bing.
Yeah.
7.
So I had all those experiences and I did well, but as soon as I got into Milan, it was so much like New York, and I could walk to practice, I could take the subway, I was at the Duomo. So many other Americans, other expats.
You're in the New York of
I
Italy.
pitched a 10. And it was, I would be living there now. During that season, I got hurt. I started having this crazy pain in my shoulder. We win everything.
You were playing through the injury?
Playing through, because I thought it was just stress. I was really stressed out. I didn't go home for a month, national team. And with national team, how it works is for me to be a neutralized Italian player, Italiana in campo, in the court, I need to play an official FIBA game, which is a European championship. So all the friendlies I did, I had 28 friendlies under my belt, needed to be
Is that because it was the second division?
No, it was just national team rule, because I guess so many
okay.
people can get an Italian passport because of our roots.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
But they were
okay.
for you to be Italian, count as an Italian player, to make it, like you said, the soccer rules easier, I need to be in an official, Olympic match.
Got you.
So that year, I did a whole
Crazy.
season. We won the championship, no breaks.
I thought you were still talking about the club. I didn't know you were talking
No,
about national team.
national team. Go straight through FIBA championships. I'm playing, now I'm really playing on it. So I finally come home and I'm washed. And I'm pass the peace pipe. I need edibles. I need something, because I'm all the tension in my body is
Yeah.
crazy. And I started training again, and it wasn't until about 3 weeks before I go back. I signed back to Milan, so that was great. We just won a championship. The team is back now. I'm with
Did they go
got
up a
bumped up,
division?
so now we're in
Yeah.
A1, and we're just a family, and I'm still so close with all of them. I go back to Milan every 6 weeks, and those are my fam. My captain at the time, Giulia Arturi, we still keep in touch. I'm still so close with all my teammates from that year. And I signed to go back. So it's big news. Everyone's she's coming back. And for me, it's fantastic, because I
You
just
just had a great season.
and I just made these connections. In the summertime, while I was coming home, I was also working at La Masseria on 48th Street. Plug.
Wait, what is that?
La
That's
Masseria 48th.
is it
Italian restaurant. It's between 8th and Broadway. I was the lead hostess. There's also Masseria dei Vini in Hell's Kitchen. Super good food.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
Plug.
I was working there. I made some good connects in the NBA, which led to where I'm at now. But the plan of those connects that I made was to kind of finagle a tryout into Liberty. So I really just needed this one season to have 10 and 10, which was easy. I was in my prime. I was crushing it. I was totally ready. 10 and 10 was nothing, because I was going to play 40 minutes a game, which is the biggest. And everything was perfect. I love Milan. I have my friends here. Already can't wait to go back. And all of a sudden, my shoulder's still bothering me. And so I'm you know what? Go get it checked out. And I found out that I had 100% tear in my labrum.
Wow.
And I had 50% tear in my rotator cuff. And
How are you playing?
No,
That's
in a lot of pain.
crazy.
In a lot of pain. And in professional sports, I had a lot of practices where I was getting little butt injections of Voltaren, which is anti-inflammatory, just to get past the pain.
Wow.
And I did that a lot for the whole season. And I thought it was stress. I wish, when your back really tenses up, but it was tensing up because I was putting so much
Pressure on everything else.
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
So then you stopped playing for.
So I had to come home. I couldn't even go back. It was 3 weeks before. Imagine I had to tell my team, who was like so excited, and like I'm their starting center. I'm the American. Like I'm ready to bang. I'm coming in my prime. Like so good. And like the only thing they care about is being saved. So like we don't have like all these high hopes. We just don't want to go back down. And 3 weeks I have to call my coach and I have to be like, I need to have surgery. And like not even I need, like I'm having surgery. And I had a flight. They booked my flight, so I had to go back.
They
to
missed
Italy.
That, like in Italy, like nobody caught on to that.
No, I think that. I mean, I had complained about it, and it was just we just didn't say get an MRI, and that was maybe all of ours. But I was playing through, and I couldn't. I think in national team, I had one great physical therapist that knew something was more wrong, because towards the end of the season now I'm like, hey, and we call him Zio, right? He's a great guy from Rome, like super Roman guy, Zio Remo, right? Really in the know, and I feel like had he maybe had called it out or said, hey, this doesn't look right, I know you playing wise, you don't look right, go get an MRI. Had he had done that and it was wrong, I would have lost being Italian. So that summer was crucial. Like I had to be in a national team. We bring 18 people to training camp, just like soccer, but only 12 people can go on the team.
A third of the team gets cut.
And no one was, they're not about to do favors. They knew it was big, but like I needed to get in that 12. I didn't go home for Christmas that year. We had a tournament. You know what I'm saying? I gave up all. I was calling I'm like, hey, coach, I'm here for the tournament. If you want to call me up, I'm not leaving. I'm with the team, I really cared about this and needed this for my career. So I think that he had saved me. I think he knew something was wrong, so he would always kind of take care of me and make sure I was okay just to get there. But it was pretty painful the last 2 months, because I thought it was bugging out. I couldn't move my neck. My coach one day in practice, he was like, Maria, we think you have to get your eyes checked because you can't see anything on the side of you. And I literally just couldn't move my neck. It was like I could not go past maybe like an inch to the left. So if you were coming up behind me, missing you, go get a layup. Like, what?
Crazy.
You'd be like, Maria, and I'd be like,
turn the other way.
all the way. It was so bad.
That's how I get when I sleep with air conditioner on.
It was like that 24/7.
Yeah,
24/7.
that times like 100.
Yeah.
So you
got
stayed
the
home
surgery,
and then you made some
got the
connections to
surgery
NBA.
here, and then it's crazy. I get someone to go to hospital test for surgery. I know there's a good doctor there. I walk in and he goes, "You're Maria Laterza, right?"
Was he your cousin's friend too?
No, he wasn't. He ended up being the MD at Marist.
Ah.
And he was great.
You have a lot of angels on your side.
I got something's happening here.
Crazy.
Something's happening here. I'm super. I can't explain it. That's why I'm so. Because of this, I always.
Do you play Lotto?
No, I should.
You want to play for me?
Play the Powerball.
Let's go. After this, we'll go take a walk. We'll all do it. That's a great idea. Let's start. So he did my surgery, and I had to kind of rehab. It was really hard. The surgery part was fantastic. I ended up then had a little, I fell in love. Had a little boo thing in New York, and as a woman, and then I attribute this to wanting a family. And I was about 25, 26. I was like, you know what? I want to stay home as long as I can, milk it.
Plus, you had the pressure from mom and dad, get
Yeah,
married.
I was super Buddha, like LMA. So I fell in love in that time frame. I was fortunate because he definitely had helped me kind of with everything that was going on. But I had to leave. Like basically, I had to get the surgery and go back. They wanted me back there, and I was like,
recovering there.
I'll sacrifice a month of pay. Boom, I just want to stay home, do my PT, and that's what I did. I went back in December, very out of shape. This was as an athlete, kind of. I milked it too much, I think. And they also couldn't afford to keep me on their roster because I wasn't going to be ready to play, and they were being threatened to go down because they were the losing record. And they invested a lot of money in me that year, rightfully so. I just, deserved it. So they traded me to the first place team.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
Which team was this?
Luca in Tuscany.
Okay.
So you're like sick. Like this first place team, I'm with WNBA players. Coach is a great coach. It's a place where I would always want to end up if I was at 100%. And my get back took me about a month and a half. I just wasn't physically ready. And if you know me and how I play, like I'm a bruiser, and I don't mind.
It sounds like you were when you said
physical, like to bang a lot,
get some dirty points, offensive rebound.
My whole life, I was always the best thing about me was that I was always the kid that could take a hit, like tough kid. Like you can, I'm strong, but like if you hit me, I'm not gonna fumble. Like, you could hit me and I'm good. Couldn't do that. And I got to the point in my career where I had accomplished so much already, where I was really at a point where I'm like, if I need to continue to do this, I need to completely do another 4 or 5 years of changing to a 3 guard because I cannot be this physical. My whole game has to change. I could have done it, but I think mentally at that point, I was really exhausted. Like that's change like athlete wise.
It's not fun to get like that physical abuse every
and it
day.
hurts. And
Yeah.
usually it's fun. I like it. I like that stuff.
After a while, it
but
took a toll on
now
you.
it really hurts. Now like getting hit here, I'm gonna cry every time, and I'm like, this is not me. So that part wasn't fun. Come home that summer, and because I wasn't this like big macho player anymore, even though I was coming into seniority with the national team, and the only people in front of me in my position were about 34, 35. So as soon as they kind of retired and played out, I was filling in that role.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it could be EuroLeague starting 5 on the national team, maybe, just because of how it worked age-wise and experience-wise.
Being a veteran at that point.
Right. And then at 26 that summer, when I was ready to go back for a full season, so I did half a season, and I was ready to come home and just really do my rehab right, be in the right place, rest this up. I'm working at the restaurant, and I meet my current boss, Kim Bahuni, who is a super stud in the NBA as a woman, and I admire her so much. She is the senior vice president of international basketball operations, and she's just so many things for international basketball she has cultivated and kind of spearheaded, and she offered me a position as her assistant. Their assistant,
that's
and
awesome.
and I met her I met her during a time where I had been unsigned. So I had teams. I was in Naples about to sign a Napoli. Just came back from a wedding. Team didn't want to take me. The team in Napoli was talking about like, we'll give you like $1,000 a month, and like for anyone who knows, $1,000 a month is like rookie money, and I'm coming on my 6th year pro. But it's la crisi, right? There's always a crisis in Italy, so I was getting kind of blackballed a little bit because of my injury and being out of shape. So I was trying to find a way to kind of milk this, because I'm like, I don't want to be in Milan. And in that time frame, I run into Kim, and Kim's like, Maria, what's up? What's going on? WNBA, how are you? Tell her my situation. I'm like, the market's bad. I'm probably going to be home till December. And a couple of days later, I got a phone call from someone in the league asking if I wanted to come in and interview for a position. And within a week, I had this position, it was probably one of the hardest decisions that I had to make in my life, but I felt like something like this would never happen again. And so I retired right there on the spot to work for them. And my first job with the NBA was Kim as assistant to her, our vice president, and General Dempsey of the United States military, who is like a consultant. And now I'm in a
How long you been working with NBA?
So I'll be coming on 3 years in August, since all this crazy story happened. Now I've graduated. Now I'm a coordinator, and we work with a lot of
You in
basketball.
Columbia?
That's
Every
awesome.
10 days.
Good for you.
My staple is that a world tour or your girls tour? Drake. I speak in Drake.
Bars.
I speak in Drake-ism. And you'll see it like every time I'm like, is that a world tour or your girls tour?
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
yeah, super
though.
blessed. And I think the feelings that I get is that I think everything that I kind of went through was to help somebody else, to be this example, to understand how it goes, and now I'm in this situation where like I'm like women in sports, right, or like women in a man's world, and like finding this constant balance between being obviously super Italian American and wanting to be domesticated, wanting to have a family, and I'll be 30 and I'm still single. So if you guys find me on Instagram, available. As long as you're like
Hit
6'.
that
Also,
hit that follow button.
Myself right now, I'm plugging myself. But these are just things that you think about it. But I'm super fortunate that everything has happened this way. I think I hated it for a long time, where I'm like, damn, why me?
Yo, but you did the damn thing.
Crazy. And most people don't.
You have a really awesome story. Like, this was a really
Yeah.
underdog, feel good story.
A lot of people who know me now, in the recent years, know this like Italy success and like all this stuff. And because that's when it kind of took off, and when more people were like, but I had all this stuff that happened before it that has made me knowledgeable. I think relatable to a lot of people, because not a lot of kids want to go overseas and do all this stuff, but you're coming from like a mid-major, and you can do it, but the odds are different. There's different paths.
It's
you gotta
hard
take.
too, being all alone.
Yeah.
Not having your family support always.
Yeah.
And now we're just now I work in the NBA, and it's in a fantastic environment. There's like so much room for
You
like,
hang out with guys like Jamal Murray, and I always see like all these crazy stories of. I'm just like envious. Like,
NBA
Yeah, it's
players,
dope.
why couldn't I have
kids.
been 8 inches tall?
8 inches just tell her.
Yeah, you make us look bad. Like, I make sandwiches.
Oh my God. Hey, guys.
At least they're good though.
There's like a flip too, because I think, I mean, we talk about being bullied and like all that stuff. So I think for a while God was good to me, because before 13 I went through it, I think, and that's also a great
being
topic.
tall, right?
Just being tall and always wanting to fit in and want to be the same, because all my, you know, and I love my I have so many friends, and I'm so fortunate to have different versatile groups. But the group I appreciate the most are my Italian friends from Brooklyn that I grew up with. We
Yeah.
have that same culture. You know me since I'm 8, and you know Maria. Like, you don't know the basketball, the Milan, you don't know the NBA. You know me since I'm a 13, 12-year-old kid, and that is so
Innocent,
foreign
like
to
when
me.
you were innocent, like didn't know.
Right, I want to be just,
example.
and they're all literally like 5'3", 5'3", Naples, Sicily, and just to growing up in that and wanting to be like them, but understanding you're different was a struggle for a bit. But I always did have a lot of people that were very supportive. Shout out to my parents. I think I commend them so much, and just.
Yeah, for a strong foundation they gave you.
Yeah, but even them for having the courage of just, I mean, even them, we talk about we're in a society where like race is like such like an issue and such like a taboo, and like for how they grew up in like the 80s and the 90s, and like how some Italian families are, and like even with immigration now, like this is my biggest pet peeve, and I love talking about it, but like a lot of Italian Americans today forget that
A lot of
we
them are stuck here too.
stuck here,
Yeah.
but we also forget that like 30, 40 years ago, we were like the people they were trying to kick out.
That was us,
Like,
yeah.
we were the ones that were getting cold. And like Guinea Guido, like we talked, we were like, all right, fine.
And we
but,
can
like,
relate because our family came from the other side too, you know?
They went through all that.
You know, and we're lucky that, you know, our family had a sponsor, you know, like not everybody had that. And now we know people that live here illegally that are Italian and are going through it.
Right.
Like they can't go back to Italy.
Can't go
because
back
of
to
that.
Italy. Can't drive a car.
Right.
Can't get a credit card.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And there are
Can't have a bank
right.
account.
Do you
when
remember
I
the lady
think,
who would be mad if you gave her quarters when you checked out at the lunchroom?
yo, what was her name? Maria.
No, Mary.
What's her
She had
name?
blonde hair. You couldn't give her coins.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't.
She was mad.
She didn't
Maybe
like
like
me.
maybe like a chicken, because the popcorn chicken, that was my thing. The Kearney
Fire.
girl is the popcorn chicken.
And the chocolate chip cookie in the morning. What? Fire.
That's small world. But listen, I'm not for more.
Yo,
podcasts.
Carney
More
girls,
topics.
baby.
I'm ready to.
I think we
go.
gotta do an immigration
gotta
one
do-
soon.
Yeah,
Like immigrate, you
100%.
know?
That's a big. Yo, honestly, I think. Are we still on air?
No, let's
We'll cut the
thank
sauce.
you guys
Are
for
we still-
tuning
'cause I was
in.
about to say-
Yo,
I
so
hope you're all
cut it
enjoying
out.
your summer. Did you guys want to do like some like skull call to end it?
Yo, don't talk shit. Do not talk shit. Do you want to sing the Kearney song? Yo, there's a Kearney song.
Is it?
Don't
Let's hear
take
it.
shots because they're gonna get tight at you.
Let's hear it. What is it?
Nah,
Is it that long?
nah, you
We
boys
save
ain't
it for the
ready.
next one.
Now
Guys,
we're
I feel
gonna.
we gotta like put some hype
No,
around
no,
it.
no. You're gonna make everybody fall
We can
asleep
do a
now.
podcast about Kearney. and it's not-
We
no,
should. Part
no.
2.
I know a lot of Severian Savior boys that'll turn in real quick.
There you go.
Relive the days.
Damn.
We know. I'm always down to come back and talk there. I feel like there's so many cool topics. But the big thing is, it's so crazy, like immigration. I feel like we have so many.
That could be its own. That could be its own episode.
I'm
Like-
gonna explain to you something right after this. Guys, tune
But
in to
yo-
the next one.
Buonanotte.
Ciao.